Om Stavakaya Jadharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Stavakaya Jadharmasya Sarvadharma Swarupine Avatar Varisthaya Ramakrishna Yate Namah Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityormamritangamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us offer our salutations to the Divine Master, Sri Ramakrishna, the God incarnate, the embodiment of all religions. Let us pray to remove all our ignorance by lighting the lamp of knowledge. Let us discard what is unreal. Let us try to conquer all the forces acting against us. Let us conquer fear. Then only we conquer death. Then only we will be established in peace. Real peace is obtained by conquering death. Srimad Bhagavad Gita gives us the profound message the Vedantic approach to our life. It is very important for us to know what is our real personality. Is it body, mind, intellect and the ego put together called real personality? Or there is something else which is behind this body, mind and intellect to be called the real personality? The real personality should not undergo any modification. It should be non-changing, non-moving. So, the moment we come to know that that is our real personality, which is behind body, behind mind, behind intellect, behind ego, then all the other things of the world, since they are subject to change and destruction, we should go to the witness the perceiver within, to the real personality that is required. What is the perceiver and what is the perceived? These things are to be clearly understood. Though the mind and the body function, they are not functioning independently. Behind their functions, there is something that supplies the power to them. Without that power, mind by itself cannot function. So, that which supplies the power to function, that is the real perceiver. Suppose something happens to our body or our mind, we immediately become so much depressed, or we undergo intense suffering. Why? Because the idea, I am sick, I am blind, I am hurt, I am insulted, I am unhappy. All these ideas are born out of our identification with the body and with the mind. It is because of this identification, it is because we have possessed them, that is causing constant worry. As long as we have that possessing attitude, we can't expect real peace. So, Bhagavad Gita teaches us that whenever such things happen, don't keep on weeping over the things happened. Don't keep on arguing about the things. On the other hand, use your intellect properly to discriminate, to inquire the reason for such things. Suppose a person is sick. The person who identifies himself with the body feels he is sick. But if he applies inquiry, then he finds out, no, he is not the person that is sick, it is a body that is sick. My body is sick. Am I the body? No. I am not the body, but the body is mine. There's a lot of difference between these two ideas. So I am that which is the life behind the body. I am the possessor of the body, the perceiver within the body. So we have to trace it within ourselves. This is the process we should adopt. All our activities, karmas, actions we do, they are performed with the understanding, I am the body, I am the mind, I am the intellect. As long as this way of understanding remains, it's very difficult to put a stop to these activities and very difficult to attain liberation. Until we are liberated, we can't get peace. So when these three equipments, namely body, mind and intellect, are themselves subject to change, and when all the things they come in contact with also are subject to change, how can we have peace that is non-changing if we identify ourselves with these equipments? As long as we identify with the things, we will be worrying, we will be undergoing pain, we will be suffering, we will be restless. All these things follow. What is the real I in you? And what is objective to you? You think that the world is objective and the subjective I is your body and mind. But the mind, body, etc., they are also as objective to you, the real I, the real personality in you, as the world outside. So locate that personality and know it. When you know it, that being non-changing and permanent, you will remain there unaffected by the pleasures and pains that the world may offer you. Without knowing this fact, because we think we are the body, mind, etc., when the very thing which is having pleasure or pain, that is the body, mind, are subject to change and are perishable, how can we have non-changing bliss? The whatever yoga we practice, whatever meditation we adopt, whatever religion we practice, we must realize this fact. We must dissociate ourselves with the things that cause us suffering. That is to say, we are so much attached to these things. It is this intense attachment is a cause of our restlessness and peacelessness. Lord Krishna deals with this subject in the verse of the 3rd chapter of the Gita. Prakritehe kriyamanani gunaihi karmani sarvashaha ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. Here Bhagavan has clarified it. All actions are done by the modes of nature. But a person who is deluded by egotism thinks, I am the doer. As long as we take the burden of something on ourselves, we should be worried over it. Worry follows. Similarly, good and bad actions are worked out by the qualities of nature, but a deluded person imagines that he is a doer. Whenever he feels that he is doing everything, then he is bound by the effect of good and bad actions, whatever they are, committed by him. The real I, the witness, is the inner personality. Each one of us have that personality. It is very distinct. Mahatmas, holy people say, if you sit in meditation, if you are well established in that state, you will attain samadhi. What's the meaning of samadhi? Samadhi means you are going to your own true self. You are realizing your own nature. You know, you realize, you experience that you are the perceiver. So, it can never associate itself with body, mind and intellect. But because of ignorance, we identify ourselves with this body-mind mechanism, and so we undergo the consequences. The people in the world act because in their body, mind and intellect there are three gunas operating: sattva, rajas and tamas. Trigunatmika maya, mahamaya duratyaya. The whole world is composed of these three gunas, which is difficult to cross. We are caught in this world of three gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas. These gunas do not and cannot operate in the witness, the perceiver, the spirit within, which is pure consciousness, unpolluted, untouched, untainted. So the effect of the three gunas in the body, mind and intellect takes the form of terrible attachment. Attachment to worldly things, attachment to body, mind and intellect. So whenever we have success or failure in our dealings, we will be affected by joy and sorrow. We will be experiencing alternately success and failure, and the world will always play with our emotions as a monkey keeper plays with his monkey. It is just like that. As long as these three gunas remain in us, there is no way to escape from suffering. The gunas always have the nature to bind us. It binds us in some way or other. The difference in the three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas, which I am referring, is their attachment to different things. Suppose you consider a person who is predominantly tamasic. Such a person is attached excessively to his body. He is always very much concerned about the maintenance and beautification and all sorts of things about his body. He lives only to satisfy his bodily passions and desires. He just can't help. He is just pushed, as it were, to do things to satisfy his desires. So he is caught up in sleeping too much and all lethargic activities. That's about the tamasic person. A rajasic person, he is attached to his body and mind, both. He is not only engaged in feverish activity, because he thinks by these activities he can gain worldly benefits and derive joy from them. So in a way, the activities, the works attract him to such an extent, they do not give him rest at all. They continuously engage him to be active in one way or other. So his mind is constantly pulled down to the activities. Even though he wants to sleep, he can't go to sleep. He has no time to go to sleep. He has to run. Even if he goes to take rest, even if he is going to sleep, even in the sleep, he may be running. Because so much of vibrations of intense activity have occupied the mind, even in sleep he won't get rest. He may be lying on the bed, but he doesn't get rest because of his intense activity. A sattvic person, he is attached to his intellect more than to his body and mind. He is very well interested in his intellectual accomplishments. But whatever it is, the truth is attachment is attachment. The sattvic person is as much bound as a rajasic or tamasic one. So, one who has to gain peace of mind must transcend even the sattva gun. Then only he will be able to get liberation. So, operated by these gunas, people become more and more ignorant, and this ignorance eludes him to know his real personality. So, it always keeps him bound in unreal things of the world. So even though the man may be living 100 years, all these 100 years, he has been living in the darkness of ignorance. Then he passes away. Again he is to be born. Again in the darkness. So one has to himself get rid of ignorance. It is possible only by lighting the lamp of knowledge. The knowledge is to be attained by associating ourselves with Vedantic discussions and spiritual persons practicing these ideas in their life. Lord Krishna says, Tattvavittu Mahabaho Guna Karma Vibhagayoho Guna Guneshu Vartanta iti Gatva na sajjate. Those who know the truth that the dispositions of nature and the actions springing from them are distinct from Atman, they don't get attached. Because they know it has nothing to do with the Atman, and so they are not worried at all. They may be living like ordinary people, but inwardly they are always focused on their real self, which is called Atman, the perceiver, the witness, the shining light in everyone's heart. So the knower of truth is one who knows that the non-changing principle underlying the changing phenomenon of the external world and the principle underlying the changing phenomena of his body, mind and intellect are one and the same. So when a person realizes this fact, he is called Tattvajnani. Tattvajnani. Having come to know that there is such a non-changing principle in himself, must leave the ever-changing realms of body, mind and intellect, and he always remains aloof in the inner personality. He knows very well that the gunas operate in the body, mind and intellect realm, that he is beyond them, and that they do not affect his real personality in the least. So, the person should cultivate this attitude of detachment. Then he is not bound by the actions, whatever done by his body, mind and intellect. Of course, when we are in the world, so many things happen. Our emotions will come to play. All these things happen. But the person who is practicing spirituality maintains his inward serenity, though outwardly he will have to act in a different way. Even when he is acting, he stands apart and looks at his own actions as ordinary people look at others' actions. In Karma Yoga, you cultivate samabhava and do not let the world react on you. But when you develop witness attitude, there is no question of the world reacting on you at all, because you are entirely away from the realm of the body, mind and intellect where the world can react. You are just observing, not taking part in the worldly dealings of the body, mind and intellect. Prakriter gunasammudhaha sajjante gunakarmasu tana kritsna vido mandan kritsna vinna vichalayet. Again Lord Krishna says, people who are deluded by the gunas of nature attach themselves to the actions that those gunas prompt. Nevertheless, the knower of truth, who has known this fact, he should not unsettle the minds of those people who are not yet ready to detach themselves from these things. The people should be gradually made to realize their mistakes, the reasons for their suffering. Training is required. Constant discrimination is required. People who are not able to dissociate their true personality from the body, mind and intellect realm, and to stand apart and witness their own actions, become attached to their actions which are actually born out of their gunas. So they are constantly undergoing sukha dukh because of their own actions. No one else is responsible, nobody else is responsible for the suffering of anybody else. So the knower of truth knows all the secrets concerning the perceiver and the perceived. So he knows that his body, mind, intellect are as objective to him as the world. He knows it's because this attachment to this world, all the problems and frustrations come. So it should point out to us, we should become non-attached. One way of practicing non-attachment is to be a witness to everything in the outside world as well as to anything that emanates out of one's own body, mind and intellect. So we should always try to cultivate these spiritual qualities in our daily life. So Lord Krishna gives a technique of doing this. Mahi sarvani karmani sanyasa adhyatma chetasa nirashi nirmamo bhutva yudhyasva vigadajvara. What's to be done? Krishna says, don't worry, as long as you are in this world, you have to be active. It is better to be active rather than inert. But then there's a way to be active. Whatever actions you do, offer everything to Him, to the Lord. Fix your mind in me. That means Lord Krishna is telling, He is the all-pervading spirit. Vishwatma, Sarvabhutatma. He is indwelling spirit of everyone. Some people call that indwelling spirit as Krishna. Some people call that indwelling spirit as Christ. Some people call that indwelling spirit as Divine Mother, and so on. Whatever name you may give to the indwelling spirit. But what is needed is, we should fix our mind on that. Then, once you feel that being inside us is looking after everything, then we will not be troubled anymore by egotism, and we will be able to fight the battle of life successfully. Again and again, it has been pointed out that the root cause of everything is the desire. It will lead to regret and sorrow sooner or later. We should not think we can have permanent sukh, happiness in this world. So we should not yield to the desires and suffer the consequences. On the other hand, reject the desires. But we don't want to. We want the desires to be fulfilled. At the same time, we want peace. But it is not possible that way. So this I and mine, they are the cause of our suffering everywhere. When we identify ourselves with the inner perceiver, the Atman, we will have no more the my and mine attitude. Then we will not be troubled by any more egotism, because we will be able to identify ourselves with the real personality. With that awareness, carry on your work in the world. That is the meaning of telling Yudhyasva Vigata Jvaraha. Jvara is the fever we suffer from when we associate ourselves with body, mind and intellect. And think that joy can be had from the external world. In anything we do, we are anxious about the result. And disassociation of ourselves with the result is to be abandoned, or else the quality of work we do will suffer. Keep on doing the things correctly, efficiently. Results come by themselves. We are not to bother ourselves about the result, but we have to be careful about doing the things properly. That is the Vedantic approach. Do it thoroughly well. With Vedantic knowledge, we should cure ourselves of this fever and work on without being pulled down by it. We should be upright mentally, morally and intellectually, and work on in the world as Lord Krishna has instructed. Nirashir nirmamo bhutva. Work without being attached. That is the secret of doing the work. According to the teachings of Lord Krishna, He Himself has said, I am also keep on working. That is how the whole universe is being carried on. So the term Yudhyasva, fight, refers to the battle of life, our day-to-day fight in the world. Morning to night, all sorts of emotions come into play. They only show that life in the world can never be perfect. It can never give you real joy or real happiness. It keeps on giving you that lesson every day. But the funny part of it is, every day we forget. Next day we think we are all right. But next day also it will teach you, no. Again we forget. So, It's a relative life in which we come in contact with so many things over which we have no control. So, it only proves that if you depend on the world, you cannot get peace. On the other hand, turn within. Reach the source of all bliss. If the world teaches us to turn within and become an introvert, the world and life would have served their purpose. It is with that purpose only we are taking birth again and again. It won't leave us unless we learn the lesson. We have to learn, we have to educate ourselves. Turning within yourself. It doesn't matter where you are. Vedanta helps a person to become perfect. Ye me matamidam nityam anutishtanti manavaha shraddhavanto anasuyanto muchyante tepi karmabhihi. The 31st verse of the chapter 3rd, Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, people who are having tremendous confidence in the teachings which the Lord Krishna has given in the Gita, free from cavil, such people will be released from the bondage of activities. Anybody is qualified to practice this teaching. People really want to evolve. Everybody is struggling hard. It's true. But the pull of the senses and the objects is so much, they fall below the standard. They give way to the passions, they give way to their emotions, then they regret about their actions. Then they introspect. But feeble regrets will have no effect. But intense regret has got tremendous effect. It leads him to introspect, to give correction to his way of thinking and acting. So when one feels such regret, what we call in Sanskrit paschatap, then he can derive some benefit and learn a lesson from it. That means regrets also have a lesson to teach us. So when that introspection comes, when you feel, oh God, why did I do that? I did a terrible mistake. I ought not to have done it. When you have that kind of feeling in you, you are having something like sakshi bhav, witness attitude. Because you are viewing your own actions as a witness. That's why you are able to stand apart, view your actions and see whether it was right or wrong. So we should try to have this witnessing attitude throughout. our life without at the same time associating ourselves with the external circumstances and surroundings and situations. So that part of regret where we stand as a witness must be prolonged, and we must practice to be a witness of our actions. Even when we are actually acting, we must be always aware of that witness. If you find that somebody is watching you, you are careful about your doing things, because you know somebody is watching and you don't want to have any bad observations about you. So that attitude you must develop. Thing that is going on in your body, mind and intellect. So if you are aware of that fact, certainly you will be careful about the things, and that will minimize the suffering and sorrows. So we should improve right where we are and right now. We have relations with our outer world when we come in contact with the objects of the external world. If we try to get joy from them, they must respond as we want them to respond. Otherwise we will feel disappointed. So they must have the capacity to respond. Even if they have this capacity, the circumstances must be suitable for them to respond, which is often not the case. So there is many a slip between the cup and the lip, and man faces disappointments and pains at every turn, because things will not go according to what he desires, what he thinks. So do not be conditioned by the world. That's the point. If you are not conditioned by the world, it shouldn't affect you. Outlive it, even while living right in the midst of it. Padma patram evambhasa. The lotus lies in the water, but it is not drowned by the water. It floats. It is not stained by it. Same way, same attitude we should have as long as we live in this world. That means never get too much importance to the unimportant things. Even when you are unattached, the things that are to come to you will come to you. And even if you are attached, anything that is to go away from you will certainly go away at the appointed time. Things go on. In whatever way they should appear, they appear and go. Every day we are seeing night and day. They come and go, whether you want them or not. So the whole universe is going on that way. It doesn't go according to what manner I want to go. It goes in its own way. So a wise man should be to adjust himself in such a way that he carries on his life's journey to reach this goal. That's the important point that we should remember. It will not stay with you a second longer in spite of your attachment. If it has to go, it will go. You may cry, you may weep, you may express your emotions in a terrible way. No, if it has to go, it will go. So why should you bother? By bothering, you are suffering more, unnecessarily, making the life more miserable. That's not the way. So Lord Krishna says, live in the world unattached. Just as the mud fish lives in the mud, but its body is not tainted by the mud. So live in this world, but be not of the world. Let the boat stay on the water. Let not water stay in the boat. That's the attitude we should have in our life. So, since we are born in this world, we have to be active. But instead of doing work without any spiritual idea, Lord Krishna says, be a karma yogi. Do the work and offer everything to God. Take refuge in the Supreme Spirit. Take shelter in Him. Once you obtain the grace of the Paramatman, then all your problems and sufferings and all sorts of things, they just vanish away. But what is needed is our offering to God must be total. Without any reservation, just offer everything to Him. By doing that way, we get purified. What is the meaning of purification? It means mind is free from all sorts of disturbing thoughts, disturbing desires, disturbing attachments. Anything that disturbs us, that's all washed off. And the mind would be able to settle down peacefully at the Paramatman, whether personal or impersonal. Whatever it is, in the beginning we may have personal God, but afterwards if you aspire for the impersonal aspect, you will realize that also. So what is needed is purification. Yogaha chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga is possible only when the mind is free from all modifications. It must be clean. It should be clean. So that is the meaning of purification. Having come to this world, let us adopt this Vedantic idea, approach. Always feel that my own spirit is watching my actions. Even though people in the world are not seeing me, what I am doing or what I am thinking, my own self is seeing me and looking into what I am doing and what I am thinking. Every single thought, whatever that comes to my mind, is known by the perceiver. So let us develop that attitude, going to the perceiver. So when you have that kind of feeling, then you will not commit yourselves to any bad actions, or you will not do anything harm to anybody. You will always develop the idea that you will try your best to serve in whatever way you are able to do that. So with this feeling of service, serving everybody, by that process you are serving your own self. Loving everyone, you are loving your own self. So that is the attitude we should develop, and Lord Krishna gives this profound message of Vedanta to practice this Sakshi Bhav, witness attitude. Always feel, I am doing this, I am witnessing this. So, I pray Shri Krishna to bestow upon you all peace, joy and prosperity. With these words I conclude my talk. Om Sahana Sahanau Bhunakto Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. May the Divine Spirit protect both of us, the preceptor and the disciple. May that Spirit nourish us both. May we work in harmony with great vigor. May our study be illuminating and fruitful. May we not hate each other. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.